Season going against the Timberwolves in Game 5. It should be easier because Minnesota doesn't have its starting backcourt. Anthony Edwards has a hyperextended knee and is out multiple weeks, and Dante DiVincenzo is done for the year with a torn Achilles. But Denver couldn't get it done when they went down in Game 4. NBA reporter Anthony Slater is on the scene in Denver. So what is three-time MVP Nikola Jokic saying about his performance so far?
Average. That's, he was asked to assess his performance. He used one word, and it was average. And if we're being real about it, it's been much below his average, at least. We're talking about a guy who shoots 56% for his career, once had a season where he shot 63%, has never shot worse than 47% in a playoff series. And in this playoff series, he's shooting 39% overall, 18% from three, 5 of 21 in fourth quarters. He was 0 of 6 the other night in the fourth quarter. And, it's not that it's been perfect around him. Aaron Gordon's hobbled, Peyton Watson's out. But you mentioned it, the Wolves are without their star now, Anthony Edwards. And if Nikola Jokic cannot get Denver back in the series and they go into the offseason after the first round, I think for the first time ever in his career, the microscope will kind of be pointed at him for his performance in this series.
Yeah, you mentioned all those numbers. In this series, Jokic is shooting 33% from the field when Rudy Gobert is the primary defender. So it is a Gobert problem. There was a melee at the very end of Game 4. Jaden McDaniels made a layup after Denver had already quit playing, and Nikola Jokic chased him down. Julius Randle came in for the Wolves and got into it with the Joker. Jokic earned a $50,000 fine, Randle $35,000. So what bad blood should we expect to see tonight from these two teams that don't obviously like each other?
Yeah, that's kind of been the story of the series dating back to McDaniels, basically calling every individual defender on the Nuggets not good at their jobs on that end. But to me, when you think about Minnesota's long-term goals, they're very much hurt by Anthony Edwards being out. But the short-term goals, it's just bragging rights over a Nuggets team they don't necessarily like. McDaniels just kind of cap off this trash talk series for him. You called the Gobert numbers. Rudy Gobert very much cares about his legacy defensively, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. This could be the best defensive series of his career if he's able to finish it off. And then, Ayo Dosunmu is going to step up into a bigger role, as he did when Edwards went out in Game 4, and he scored 43 points. He's an unrestricted free agent this summer, so he has a chance for a big payday if he can just cap this off.
I'm not going to lie, I like when things get a little chippy. Minnesota, by the way, 3-0 all time, went up 3-1 in the series. Anthony, thank you. For more, here's Tony and Mike with PTI's bonus topic.
All right, Wilbon, can the Timberwolves finish off the Nuggets without Anthony Edwards?
I'm going to give you a real strong answer. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, because here's what we got. We got no DiVincenzo and no Anthony
Edwards.
Edwards.
Not just Anthony Edwards. They just lost the other starting guard.
They got their backcourt. Now, Ayo Dosunmu has gone crazy. This is such a great story for those of us from Chicago. Nobody else has heard of him because he played in obscurity for bad Bulls teams. Right. He's a terrific young guard who can do a little of everything and did a lot of everything the other night with 43 points. Anyway.
They got tape on him now.
Now they do.
They got tape.
Now they do.
Right.
So no starting backcourt for Minnesota. Aaron Gordon of the Nuggets is questionable. He's been in and out quite a bit. Games 5 and 7 are in Denver, but we've seen Minnesota take Denver out when they were defending champs, took them out of the playoffs. And we've got the factor of the Joker, who I still came into the playoffs thinking is the best player in the world. Mm-hmm. He has been met squarely nose to nose by the Frenchman, all right, by the Stifle Tower, by Rudy Gobert.
Yeah.
I think this means still that Minnesota can get one of these games, but there's going to be a lot of drama.
Okay, so you know that I root for Minnesota because of assistant coach Nathan Bubis.
Yes.
So I root for them. When you talked about Minnesota beating Denver before, Anthony Edwards was on the floor. He was on the floor. I'm the wrong guy on this question because, as you know, I did not think the Lakers would win any games in the playoffs when they lost Doncic.
Nobody did.
And they went up 3-0 at that point.
Yeah.
So that gives me reason to believe that Minnesota, which only needs to win one game, can win that one game. But if you're asking me, do I like Denver's chances better now than ever before? And do I like Denver's chances? I'd have to say yes. I'd have to say yes. Anthony Edwards is every bit as important as Luka Doncic to his team. DiVincenzo is out
Ace
as
of
well.
all things. DiVincenzo was really playing well. And this is the second time. When he was on Milwaukee, the year they won the championship in 21, he got hurt and wasn't able to be, at least late in the playoffs. I feel bad for him. But that's got drama. And they plain don't like each other, those two sides. That's it. We're done. Back to you.
Tony, Mike, thank you.
Christine and Kevin back with you. Sports Center continues. Let's head to Orlando, where the Pistons try to even their series against the Magic. Detroit had the best record in the East this year, but they're struggling against the 8 seed, and it could get worse. Now on the scene is NBA reporter Om Youngmasuk, who joins us now in Orlando. So Pistons All-Star center Jalen Duren is struggling in this series, Om. What is he working on to try to bounce back tonight and help Cade Cunningham?
Kev, the Pistons have been waiting for Jalen Duren to show up in this series longer than some of the lines for the Guardian of the Galaxy ride at Disney World, which I can tell you, by the way, was over 2 hours the other day. So, listen, he is averaging 9 and 8 so far and 41% shooting in this series. That is not going to get it done for the 60-win top-seeded Pistons. He was an all-star this year that averaged 19 and 10 and over 60% shooting. They need him to be that guy. I watched him after game 1 work with 3 assistant coaches who were collapsing on him at different times so he could get used to the Magic's defense collapsing on him in the paint. Before game 3, I watched him right over there, Kevin, on the side of the court, talking to J.B. Bickerstaff and assistant coach Luke Walton for a long time, trying to figure this Magic defense out. Cade Cunningham said the whole team has confidence that he will figure this out.
Okay, let's go to the flip side here. Orlando guard Desmond Bane, he broke out of his slump. How about 7 threes in a Game 3 victory? What are Bane's teammates saying about keeping that momentum going tonight on their home court?
Kev, they will surely take another duplication of the last game. He had his first 6 three-pointers en route to 7 threes, like you said, tying the franchise record for most threes in a playoff game with the great Dennis Scott. I asked Franz Wagner, is this what you envisioned when the Magic went all in to get Desmond Bane and traded 4 first-round picks and another pick swap? And yes, this adds another dimension to our team when he's going like that. Now, I talked to Paolo Banchero this morning. I said, what do the Magic need to do to continue this going? And he said, physical. He mentioned physical multiple times. You know what, Kev? They don't have to worry about physicality with Desmond Bane. Even when he's not hitting his shots, he's still one of the most physical guards in the league, and they know he's going to bring that tonight.
Now, keep in mind, though, Bane and the Magic 3.5-point home underdogs tonight. And let's add one other thing. Guardians, the best ride at Disney World. Thank you so much.
So the Pistons and the Nuggets are down, but DraftKings doesn't think they're out just yet. The Pistons are still favored to win the series against Orlando entering Game 4. The Nuggets are plus 125 to come back down 3-1 with Ant sideline for Minnesota. And with that, we welcome in my good sis, Janae Ogumake. Okay, so who do you think has a better chance to come back and win their series, the Nuggets or the Pistons, and why?
First, really quick question to you, Christine. What was I doing during commercial break?
Eating.
Yes. Okay, good. Because you've seen me at all aspects of the game as teammates on women's college basketball. When I'm on the road and I need a snack, I always order spicy nuggets, not the regular ones, spicy nuggets. The Timberwolves have made the Denver Nuggets look regular. That's not okay. I need them to be spicy, especially with what we've seen on the road. No Anthony Edwards, no Dante DiVincenzo, which means Denver has a great opportunity and a huge advantage. They also have the top 2-man action in basketball between Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And right now you have a 3-time MVP going up against in the paint, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert. And the edge has gone with Rudy Gobert. And then you go to the perimeter, the battle on the perimeter on the outside is Jamal Murray versus Jaden McDaniels, who talked that talk and backed it up. Ayo Dosunmu has had big games, 25 and 40 plus. And so right now they have to be spicy, especially on the defensive end, and also find their best action between the MVP and the All-Star and Jamal Murray.
You're making me incredibly hungry. By the way, Denver was the last team to win a series after trailing 3-1. That happened in 2020. So what is the key for the top-seeded Pistons to try to even their series against the Magic?
What's kind of crazy is that you're seeing a 1 seed take on an 8, but in multiple long spurts, it's looked like the reverse. And so what will the Detroit Pistons need? They will need Jalen Duren to play big, because right now Cade Cunningham is doing everything. He's putting it all out there. He is the hub of their universe, but he definitely operates extremely well in the pick and roll. If you think about where he has led the NBA, not necessarily all the time in scoring, but always consistently top 3 when it comes to assists. Jalen Duren is only averaging around 9 points per game in this series. That is not enough. He's not shooting the ball enough. And so to get that 2-man action going, that will help increase his points. This is a guy that this year was a first-time All-Star. He averages 20 points per game. Right now, only shooting only 40% in the series. They need big help from Jalen Duren so that Cade doesn't have to do bad all by himself, even though they're the bad players.
Yeah, he's coming off. Jalen Duren is coming off his worst shooting performance of the season. By the way, Chiney, also, you have to go get a Flying Dutchman because you made me hungry and now you have to go eat that.
And tonight, Denver is attempting to extend their season. Now, remember, teams up 3-1 in a best-of-7 series, they do go on to win 96% of the time. But the last time a team overcame a 3-1 deficit, who was it? It was the Denver Nuggets, and they did it twice back in the 2020 bubble. As we say hello to our Anthony Slater, who is covering this series for us. All right, Slater, let's run through a couple of injury updates here. We know no Dante DiVincenzo. We know no Anthony Edwards here for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So what is this team's mindset coming into the game?
You know, they're pretty upbeat. I think it's fair to believe that their title hopes went out the window the other night with those injuries, but there's a lot to be gained in the short term. Organizationally, these are two franchises that don't necessarily love each other. So if the Wolves can get one out of the next three, that's franchise bragging rights. And then individually, Rudy Gobert has a chance to cap off, I think, maybe the best defensive series of his career with what he's doing to Jokic. Yeah. Jaden McDaniels could cap off maybe the best trash-talking series in recent NBA history. And then Ayo Dosunmu, he's making $7.5 million this year. He's an unrestricted free agent. You saw what he did the other night, 43 points. He can really rocket his stock going into the summer if he can just help finish off these Nuggets.
Yeah, Ayo Dosunmu is going to be huge in making up for the backcourt players that you're missing, and I would imagine that Mike Conley gets the start, but we will see. On the Nuggets side of all of this, Aaron Gordon, he only played in 23 minutes in Game 4, but it looked like that calf was bothering him a bit. What can you tell us about his status for tonight's game?
Officially questionable, and you don't question his toughness at all. I mean, he played through a grade 2 hamstring strain in their, Game 7 last year. You saw it the other night. I mean, this is clearly a calf injury that would have him out probably multiple weeks during the regular season. He tried to gut through it. He played 23 minutes, but they just sat him down the stretch. David Adelman said it was unfair. He was laboring out there. So I would say questionable, leaning towards doubtful, because I think the organization is looking at knowing they need to, basically be cautious for Aaron Gordon.
Yeah, but if you know Aaron Gordon, you know that that's a player that you basically have to put in a straitjacket to keep him from playing in a playoff game. Look no further than Game 7 of last year against these Minnesota Timberwolves. Anthony Slater, thank you very much for that insight. All right, this is going to be a game, Shump. When you are looking at the player that is most important for the Timberwolves to close us out, we'll get to Denver side in a second. The Timberwolves, who are you looking at?
I'm looking at Ayo. First off, shout out to the Chicago guys. But I think that I need him to stay within his role. It can low-key be bait to say, hey, I had a great game. It's my show. Now I got to run it up. I have to do it again. I have to replicate that game. I need to be plus 30. No, you don't. You got to come out here and play the same way that they know you could play. That's the reason you were a star the other night, is because you were just playing your role. It's just more shots became more available, and you kept it efficient the whole night. That's all they got to do.
We saw the trend, though. He had a 25-point game in the series. He's been trending toward bigger and bigger performances.
Exactly.
My eye is on the guy that you were hyping. You finally made your
Go Bears.
Rudy Gobert. His defensive work, Wendy, you said earlier that might be the worst 3-game playoff stretch of Jokic's career. That's because that man right there is defending in single coverage, holding them, I think it was Game 3 or so, to 34% as a team, but under 30% as a shooter. We have rarely seen Nikola Jokic miss so many around the rim, or just not being able to get so many clean looks. It is a 4-time defensive player of the year taking on a 3-time MVP.
Come on.
And right now, the defensive player of the year is winning the battle.
Come on.
Yeah, he is shooting under 40% in this series. He's shot over 50% in his career in the playoffs. He's got to make some shots. Also, we're looking at those interior plays. He's gotten so frustrated at Gobert. He's hoisting threes, and he can't make any. Ooh. So he is really, this is so basic for the Nuggets. They got to score. They're not good enough defensively to survive a bad offensive night.
McDaniels has told us that.
And stay out of kerfuffles.
Jaden McDaniels has become the villain that I'm not sure that I saw coming.
I don't mind it, though.
He didn't back down, though, when Jokic can't,
Yeah, he got his
in. Would you have dunked the ball if Mike Conley had...
Ooh, I'd have dunked that thing.
Enjoy.
Our edition of SportsCenter. I am Matt Berry. The weekend party continues on a Monday with the NBA and NHL playoffs. Both the Nuggets and Penguins trying to stay alive. Mina Kimes joins us to break down the NFL draft, plus Adam Schefter on a potential big move in Big D. So let's go with the first thing you need to know right now. It is number 1 on our starting 5 as the Timberwolves try to close out the Nuggets tonight, Game 5. They'll have to do it without their starting backcourt. Anthony Edwards is a hyperextended knee and is out multiple weeks. Dante DiVincenzo is done for the year with that Achilles. They both went down in game 4, but Ayo Dosunmu scored a career-high 43 to carry Minnesota. So a big one tonight is our NBA reporter Anthony Slater is live from Denver, where the Nuggets are trying to extend the series against Minnesota. So what's the approach for the T-Wolves now, Anthony, without some of their star power?
Well, bigger picture, it is to stay alive long enough to get Anthony Edwards potentially back later in the playoffs. You mentioned it. It's kind of a week to week. They're going to reevaluate him. They're trying to do what the Lakers are doing with Luka Doncic, just stay alive long enough to see him. But in the shorter term, they're just trying to win this series, this trash-talking series that you've probably seen between, the Nuggets and Timberwolves. They have to win one of the next 3 to have full bragging rights organizationally. And for Rudy Gobert, for example, to, cap off what I think has probably been the best defensive series of his career, what he's done to Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is shooting below 40% for a guy who's 56% for his career. And then Jaden McDaniels, I mentioned, he's been the poster child of the trash talk. He's got to get one more. And then Ayo Dosunmu, you mentioned him in the open. He had 43 points the other night. He's their unrestricted free agent this summer. If he can continue this, he could get paid in the summer.
Yeah, look, at Minnesota 12-9 this season when Ant is out. We know it's going to be a factor however long this goes. Anthony Slater with the latest from Denver. Anthony, thank you so much. To the second thing you need to know, the defending champion Thunder can sweep away the Suns tonight in their first-round series. A sweep would give Jalen Williams more time to heal. He strained his hamstring in Game 2. He's out for at least this series. Phoenix has lost their franchise worth 9 straight playoff games. We welcome in our NBA reporter, Tim McMahon. He's out there in Phoenix. Timmy Mac, the Suns could be cooked if they don't have answers for SGA. Easier said than done. How do they go about that?
Howdy, Matt. Dylan Brooks has an idea. Actually, he had a declaration. I got him in Game 4. Now, that was fresh off Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scoring 42 points on only 18 shots in Game 3. And look, the Suns threw everything they could possibly think about him. All kinds of different schemes, all kinds of different defenders. Even had center Oso Ighodaro as the primary defender on SGA. Nothing worked in Game 3. And, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander told us earlier in the season, I've got the answers to the test. I just have to see the questions. Well, the Suns are trying to come up with as difficult of questions as they possibly can. But SGA, with a chance to finish off the sweep, had 38 in this situation last year when OKC was able to finish off the sweep of the Grizzlies in Memphis.
Listen, he's a tough stop. I just don't see it getting done in Phoenix. SGA, 42 points in Game 3 in Phoenix. Tim McMahon will be there for all of it in the desert. Timmy Mack, thank you. To the ice for number 3 on the starting 5. Our Wemby was back from his concussion and now has the Spurs one game from advancing to get past the Blazers. Victor Wembanyama had 27 points, 12 boards, and 7 blocks in a 21-point win. They give San Antonio a 3-1 lead. He also revealed that he wanted to play Friday but couldn't get cleared in time by the NBA. Wemby made his return felt on Sunday, becoming the first player with 7 dunks and 7 blocks in a playoff game in the play-by-play era. He is now just the 4th player since 1974 to accumulate 60 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 blocks in their first 3 career postseason games. She is Chiney Ogwumike. She is so kind to join us here. Chiney, I want to stay in the West tonight. What does Denver need to do to stave this thing off and stay in this series against Minnesota?
Matt, it really stinks that there will be no Anthony Edwards or Dante DiVincenzo. Dante for the foreseeable long-term future. Anthony, it looks like a little bit more short, which means that Denver now has the advantage. Also, you think about their top 2-man game between Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. They need to get back to that because in the paint, there's a battle of a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert and 3-time MVP in Nikola Jokic. Right now, Rudy is dictating the outcome, defending him sensationally. And then there's also a battle on the perimeter. Y'all heard the smoke he said, but he's backed it up. Jamal Murray has not had huge moments lately. Jaden McDaniels' defense has been huge. Ayo Dosunmu coming off of a 40-piece point game. To me, those two, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, have to show everyone why the last 5 or 6 or 7 years that they are up there when it comes to 2-man offense. And they were handed an unfortunate but a timely gift in no Anthony Edwards. So to me, there's no excuses for Denver.
Right. They're good as good. I'm surprised it's gone this way. So we'll see if they can claw their way back into the series. Maybe a bit of a surprise out east. 1 seed Detroit down 2-1 to Orlando. What's the key to even this thing up? I can't even believe we're having this conversation.
Matt, I said this a week ago, but you weren't there. You know when you go out there onto the golf course and you swing too hard and your back's hurting and you need some icy hot on your back, right? I think Cade Cunningham needs icy hot for his back because he's been carrying the team. He's been shouldering way too large of a load. He's phenomenal. He's an all-NBA player, but he needs help, particularly from Jalen Duren. Duren has to be ice cold. He's got to be a killer. We've got to get back to his all-star level because this year he was exactly that. He averaged 20 points per game. So far in this series, only around 9 points per game. He needs to be a secondary scorer. He needs to be a secondary creator. It's not ideal. It's not necessarily natural as you're big having that role. But that was the area where he grew this year. And Wendell Carter, he just pulled down 17 rebounds. He has won that matchup so far. So Cade, his back, I'm sure it's hurt. He's icing it after every game because he's having to do too much. Jalen Duren has to show up so that pick and roll can get going for Detroit.
So you know what I do when I'm struggling, I'm swinging too hard in the front nine, and I go to the turn. I get some swing lube at the turn. I get a nice cold beer. I throw it back. And I'm amazing on the back nine, but he can't
maybe not for Duren, though. Maybe not that for him.
No shooting lube for them. Just play basketball. Janae, as you